Welcome to C Programming Tutorials. This is a production of YouTube channel Learnorama and the Facebook page Awesome C Programming Tutorials in High Def. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would suggest that you do so. This way you will be notified of any new tutorials that I post as soon as I post them. And I would also suggest that you become the fan of Facebook channel, Facebook page Awesome C Programming Tutorials in High Def. Okay, in today's tutorial we are going to learn about files, the concept of files, what they are, what are different types of files, and things like this. I have got many requests about covering this topic, and I intend to cover this topic but towards the end of the series. So now that we have already covered quite a bit of stuff, fundamentals stuff, we need to do some advanced topics like files. Okay, so let's get started. Files, basically, I'm pretty sure one way or the other you already know about files. You have been working with files all this time. As soon as you get introduced to computers, you encounter files. So I'm pretty sure it's not totally a strange concept for you. We will look at them more from the C perspective. Before I start on file, I think it would be nice if I can draw some pictures here to explain why do we actually need files. Basically, we all know that any computer has some essential components. Like, for example, it has to have a CPU, or also called microprocessor, right? So let's say this is our microprocessor. This is like a brain of the computer. This is where all the programs execute. So all those programs that we write, they eventually executed by CPU or the microprocessor. And of course we have what we call a memory, and CPU is connected to this memory. Okay, what is memory? Memory is simply a whole bunch of bytes, and we learned in the I don't know, second or third tutorial what bytes are. Bytes are basically 8 bits, collection of 8 bits, a group of 8 bits, and each bit is actually a binary digit. It could be either 0 or 1. That's all it is. Essentially it's a long sequence of ones and zeros. That's all it is. Okay. The main reason that we have memory is to store stuff. Okay. The only problem is that this storage, or whatever we are storing here, like programs or data or whatever, all this is temporary. So these two actually are, let me draw motherboard. So your computer has a motherboard, which is a big electronic circuit, right? And these two are present. Of course, there are like tons of other components on motherboard, but these two are very important components on any motherboard. And and you have to plug your computer in, apply power for these two components or in the other components here to start working. So as soon as you apply power, they both become like kind of alive, and they are capable of doing what they are supposed to do. Like CPU becomes capable of executing the programs, fetching the data and stuff, and and memory becomes capable of storing the information that includes program and data. Okay. But as soon as you disconnect your computer, as soon as power goes down, the memory loses all the information that it had. Okay, so this is just temporary and it's called volatile, right? And this is not good. Obviously we don't want, for example, if you have written a program, suppose the question is where you are going to get the program here, but suppose you wrote a program and then you started executing it, and it asks for the information about all the students in a class. You enter all the information, and then it does something, it processes it, it figures out what the test results were, what were the ranks, who ranked first, second, and stuff like that. Okay, you turn off, all the information is gone, all the students information, everything is gone. Okay, that's not good. This is not very practical. Okay, see, the computer won't be very useful if we just did that. So for this, we have to have some mechanism to store all this information into some permanent place, some place which does not require power to keep it stored. Okay, and that place is what we call a hard drive, right? So a hard drive, you have already heard about it, I'm sure, is also a huge collection of bytes, just like memory is. Okay, and it is also capable of data and of storing data and the programs. The main difference between, and it also needs power to work. Okay, the main difference is that memory cannot hold data if there is no power, but hard drive can. It does need power to work. Okay, every single thing in the whole wide world needs power to work. So it needs power to work, but it doesn't need power to keep the data stored. So that's the major difference between hard drive and memory. So on the motherboard, there is also a component called a controller, or a storage controller. Okay, depending upon what type of hard drive it is. If it is SATA hard drive, it's called SATA controller. If it is SAS hard drive, it's called SAS controller. SCSI hard drive, SCSI controller, and so on. So depending upon the type of hard drive, this controller would be the controller that controls it. And there is a cable going between this controller and this hard drive that connects this hard drive to the motherboard, and then the CPU is connected to this controller. And this controller is also usually connected to, almost always connected to the main memory also. And this controller helps transfer data back and forth between the CPU, memory, and hard drive. Okay, so when you power up your system, the power is applied to CPU, memory, and hard drive. The CPU is capable of reading the data from hard drive into the memory through this controller. Okay, so all the programs that you had written and everything, your operating system and all the programs that you wrote and all the programs that you bought or stole and everything, all these programs are right here. Okay, and these are brought into the memory through this controller, and then they are executed by the central processing unit or the macroprocessor here. So this is all the whole concept. The reason about talking about all this is basically the memory is not enough because it's volatile, and as soon as the power goes down, the memory is gone. We need something to store this data and program permanently. Okay, and if you go to your command prompt, you can see the entire directory structure. Obviously, I'm sure you have done that. This is where, by the way, all of my programs are stored. All the programs that I write in front of you, this is the directory where I store. So if I do a dir, which is short for directory, it shows all the files in this particular directory. So these are files: main.cpp, main.o, makefile.win, etc. Now hard drives are basically a bunch of bytes. A file system actually categorizes or breaks it into sections, which we can actually, you don't want to be storing this. It's like a big book or big copy actually, and you have to write on it, and you just don't want to be writing all the to fill up wherever you find, because it will be very hard to find where you wrote something about, right? So it's a good idea to like break it into sections and then write in those sections. And files are like this. Files are actually a collection of bytes which can be given a particular name. So this is what the file are. Now there are two different major types of files. Actually there are many types of files, but broadly speaking there are two types of files. One is the text file, the other one is the binary file. A text file is the file that you can print or display on the screen. For example, main.cpp is a text file. If I do a type, you see the characters or my last program that I worked on. Okay, you see this, all these are printable characters. Main.o is not it's not a text file. Why is it not a text file? Because it has, look at the characters that it's printing. It's not printing the characters that are stored in it. It has binary data. These are called binary files. So this is all binary data. So main.cpp is a text file because you can look at it and you can understand what it has. Main.o is a binary file. You cannot understand what it has. It's mainly for computers. Okay, so these are the major distinctions between files as far as C is concerned. And in the next tutorial, we'll learn how to access those files. Thank you so much.